This is Mio-chan. I'm a Buddhist teacher. I would like to share with you Buddha's wisdom that brightens your heart. Today, I would like to talk about anger. Anger is one of the three biggest blind passions that make us suffer. Because of anger, we worry and fret. When we get really angry, our reason goes out of the window. When intense anger flares up, we lose our mind and we do things that we wouldn't normally do. Out of anger, we say things that we are not supposed to say. As a result, we may destroy our career or relationships that we value. It is better not to be angry, but anger does show up from time to time in life. How are we supposed to deal with our anger? Broadly speaking, there are two approaches to anger: suppress it or express it. A lot of people say that suppressing anger is not good for your health. If you keep suppressing your anger, it will make you sick, so you should express your anger, they say. But if you express your anger directly toward your boss, you might lose your job. If you express your anger toward your loved one, you might hurt that person deeply. So, what are you supposed to do? Suppress it or express it? When I was a college student in the United States, I had an assignment to write an essay on anger. So, I read several books, and I remember one of them recommended, "Redirect your anger by punching a pillow hard." At that time, I was living with a roommate. She was a beautiful American lady, but she was suffering because of her intense anger. And so I lent this book to her. She took the advice. She would beat up her pillow really hard to the point of destroying it. Well, she felt better. It worked. But only for a while. She had to clean up the mess. Also, she had to buy a new pillow. Of course, destroying a pillow is much better than destroying your relationships or career. Instead of venting your anger at a human being, it is better to vent at an object. If you don't want to destroy your pillow, you can go to the gym and punch a punching bag. If you redirect your anger in this way, of course you will feel better for sure, But it doesn't last. It is just a band-aid solution. It's temporary. Soon you will find yourself feeling angry again. Some people say that we should just avoid getting angry. Well, is that possible? Can we get rid of anger? If you can, you are not a human being. Let's face it, we are human beings. As long as we live as human beings among human beings, anger is unavoidable. So, then, what do we do? What is the best way to cope with anger? Is there any way for us to cope with anger peacefully? This is what Buddhism teaches. When you are angry, try to examine the cause of your anger. Where does your anger come from? If you deeply reflect upon your anger, you will be able to cope with it in a more peaceful and productive way. Today, I have picked 3 causes of anger, and I'd like to share them with you. Number 1. We get angry when we firmly believe that we are right and the other person is wrong. I am in the right, he is in the wrong. We flare up in anger when we think that we are completely right and the other party is completely wrong. Here's a story. There is a boss and an office worker, and the boss is very angry. Why is the boss angry? The boss yells, "I asked you to bring me a timetable, not the phone book." The office worker shouts in response, "No, you told me to bring the phone book. I know you did. I heard you say it." "No, I did not," the boss shouts. "I told you to get a timetable. I never said anything about a phone book. You just weren't listening properly." The worker yells back, "Excuse me? You definitely said to get the phone book." Well, this kind of thing happens all the time, doesn't it? So, who is in the wrong here? Did the boss say the wrong thing? Or did the worker mishear him? When this kind of thing happens, we tend to stubbornly hold on to the idea that I am right and he is wrong. We are so sure that it wasn't me who made the mistake. Here are some words to consider when it comes to situations like this. In 6th century Japan, there was a prince called Shotoku. He is called the founder of Buddhism in Japan. He created a constitution based upon Buddhist teachings, and in it he stated, paraphrased, "We are not always right. The other person is not always wrong. We are all imperfect beings who make mistakes. Do not stay angry. Do not fight. Value harmony." Nobody's perfect. And so do not become furious with others when they make mistakes. Do not fight over trivial matters. Instead of being angry, try to get along with one another. What is important is harmony. This is his message. If the boss and the worker had embraced this wisdom, things would have gone much more smoothly. Instead of immediately getting angry, the boss could have taken a step back and thought, maybe I said it wrong. I thought I told her to bring me the timetable, but maybe I got distracted and accidentally said phone book instead. The office worker, too, could have taken the situation differently. I might have misunderstood him because I was in a hurry. If both had taken this approach in the first place, they would not have ended up fighting. We get angry when we think we are right. To be more precise, we get angry when we firmly believe that we are right. In other words, we get angry because we are conceited. The cause of anger is the conceited thought that I am always right. It is conceit that gives rise to anger. So here is Buddha's advice. When you are angry, take a moment and look within. What am I so angry? It is because I firmly believe that I am in the right and he is wrong. Am I always right? No, nobody's perfect. It is conceited to think that I'm always right because I'm not. In this way, anger can give you a chance to self-reflect. When we are very, very angry, we are cutting someone into pieces in our mind. You know what? Being angry is a bad deed of the mind. If you do bad deeds, bad results will come to you. You suffer because of anger. On the other hand, self-reflection is a good deed. If you reflect upon yourself deeply, you will feel calmer and your anger will calm down. To recap, the cause of anger is the conceited idea that I am always right. Let's embrace the fact that we are human beings who make mistakes. If we do, we feel calmer within, and we experience harmony with others. I repeat, if we embrace Buddha's wisdom, we feel calmer within, and we experience harmony with others. Number 2, we get angry when our desires are disturbed. When do we get angry? We get angry when we do not get what we want. We flare up in anger at anyone who disturbs our desires. The target of our anger is the person who got in the way of our desires. For example, imagine you are humiliated in front of a lot of people. Someone pointed out your flaws in front of a huge crowd. Wouldn't you feel embarrassed? We get upset and angry when we are humiliated in front of others. Why? Because we all have a desire for fame. We want to be praised by others. We don't want others to look down on us. This is our desire for fame. When we are scolded harshly in front of others, our pride is greatly hurt. It triggers intense anger within us. If you are taken aside and told privately that you need to work on your flaws, then you won't get so angry. You would even appreciate the advice. But if you are told the same thing in front of others, you feel humiliated. What is being pointed out may be right, but it doesn't matter. You have no ears to hear. It is because your desire for fame is disturbed and you are greatly hurt. And that's why you become intensely angry. Let's say that someone steals the heart of your boyfriend. Then you get angry with this girl because she got in the way of your desire for love. Our anger is directly related to our desire, such as desire for money, desire for fame, desire for love. Whatever the desire is, when it is obstructed by somebody, anger arises in our heart. We do not flare up in anger towards someone who has nothing to do with our profit. There are always bad people being shown on the news, on TV. Right? For example, someone stole a tremendous amount of money from the bank. Do you get furious at those people each time you hear this kind of news? No. If it has nothing to do with your own profit, you can watch the news with a yawn. When your own profit is not threatened, it does not really matter, does it? But the moment something involves your own profit, you become all attention. Once your own profit is disturbed by someone, you blaze up in anger. If you are deceived into giving away your hard-earned money by some fraudster, you would flare up in anger and cut this person into pieces in your mind. When our desires are obstructed, we get angry. The target of our anger is the person who disturbed our desires. This is how our anger works. You know what? If you know the mechanism of anger, it really helps you to understand various situations in life. Now, here is Buddha's advice. When you are angry, take a minute and reflect upon yourself. Try to examine yourself objectively. Why am I angry? Which of my desires is being disturbed here? Why did I get so intensely angry when I was scolded in front of others? That was because my desire for fame was disturbed. Oh, now I see. That was the reason. That was the cause of my anger. By reflecting this way, you are objectively examining the real cause of your anger. Through deep reflection, you feel calmer and your intense anger fades away. Number 3. We tend to get angry towards people who are important to us. Your immediate reaction to this might be, what? What are you talking about? Why would I get angry towards people who are important to me? Well, let's think about this a little. It happens more often than you might realize. Okay? Close your eyes and think. At whom do you get angry most often? Toward whom do you get furious most often? Think about it. I recently read a book called How to Deal with an Angry Wife, Explanation Manual on Wives. According to this book, the person at whom a wife gets angry most often is her husband. Married couples fight over trivial matters, don't they? A single careless word can trigger a huge fight. Sounds familiar? Now, why does this happen? It is because married couples do a lot of things for each other. That's why. The husband is very important to the wife. The wife is very important to the husband. We are willing to spend our precious time and energy on those who are important to us, right? But what if your spouse failed to appreciate what you have done? How would you feel? You would feel upset and disappointed. When your act of kindness is completely ignored, you might even get angry. I do all the housework, but my husband doesn't even realize how hard it is. I work very hard every day, but my wife is not grateful at all. The more time and energy is spent, the more intense the anger becomes. I have done so many things for you. I sacrificed so much for you. the wife would scream. Well, as a matter of fact, this mindset is a source of anger. I did such and such for so and so. This mentality is what triggers our anger. Why? Because if you hold on to the memory of your act of kindness, you cannot help but expect something in return. You want to receive a word of thanks at least, or some kind of recognition or appreciation, right? When you don't receive anything in return, you feel upset and angry. If your heart is filled with angry thoughts, nobody wants to be around you. That's a problem. What should you do then? Here comes Buddha's advice. When you do kindness for others, try to forget 3 things. I did, for whom, what I did. Why? Because if you hold on to the memory of these things, you might end up feeling angry and resentful. I have done all this for you. You could at least appreciate it. The more you hold on to the memory of the kindness you have done, the angrier you get. That's why Buddha advises you to forget these 3 things. If you remain conscious of your kindness, your attitude will become very demanding. You'll think, after all I have done for you, you'd better thank me. Then your loved one will start feeling your kindness is a burden and say, I didn't ask. You wanted to do it. If you're going to get angry like this, don't even do it in the first place. In this way, a fight may start. You did something for your husband hoping that it would make him happy, but that became the cause of a fight. Oh, how sad. In order not to let this happen, embrace Buddha's wisdom. When you do an act of kindness, try to forget that I did such and such for so and so. When somebody does something for you, never take it for granted. The unhappiest person in this world is one who has no sense of gratitude. When you receive kindness from others, be grateful. Express your gratitude with words. But when you do kindness for others, try to forget the kindness you have done. To recap, we tend to get angry toward people who are important to us. We wouldn't get furious if we didn't care about them at all. Perhaps someone is angry with you because they think of you as very important. Also, you might think that you get angry because you are cold-hearted, but that's not the case. The reason why you get angry is that someone is very important to you. If that person was not important to you, you wouldn't even care. Your intense anger may show how much you care. Now, let's briefly review 3 points on anger. It is taught that we get angry because 1. We conceitedly believe that we are always right and the other person is wrong. 2. We get angry when our desires are disturbed. 3. We get angry because the object of our anger is important to us. Now you have learned where your anger comes from. When you get angry, instead of reacting immediately, hold back your anger by counting to 10. Reflect upon the cause of your anger. It is conceit that gives rise to anger. Recognize your anger and let it be a chance to get to know your true self. If you reflect deeply upon your inner self, your anger will subside. If you embrace Buddha's wisdom, your life will drastically change. I hope you will put into practice on a daily basis, starting today. Gasho.